I think this is my very first meal prep from the cabin. I need something to do to keep myself occupied once my little guy goes to bed. So I'm gonna make the beer cheese soup recipe from October's Cooking Light. He's gonna go to bed here pretty soon, but I'm gonna show you step one because it takes 40. All right, here are my ingredients. I'm starting from an empty pantry. So I, at home, use better than bouillon rather than buying 4-cup containers of chicken broth. It's a way better value, so I'll just keep this here. I am also doing bulk bins are your friends. So I just got exactly how much cornstarch I needed, how much nutritional yeast I needed. Nutritional yeast can be found in the bulk bin at a health food store. They've got a Jensen's here. This is not the same as yeast you use for baking. First step is half of a butternut squash, inside scooped out, into the oven 425 for 45 minutes. So we'll set a timer. Butternut squash is out of the oven and it's resting. I'm going to pour a little bit of olive oil into my big stock pot and add my onion and 1 carrot diced up. It's going to cook for 5 minutes. Just finished scooping the flesh out of the butternut squash. This is a much faster method than peeling the squash, dicing it, and then cooking it. So if you're going to puree squash, this is always the way to do it. I also have 3 cups of water in the blender. And I'm going to add to my blender now 1 tablespoon worth of better than bouillon. So I mentioned that this is much more economical than buying boxes or cans of chicken broth. It's also a better environmental choice rather than shipping. Blended for about a minute, and I'm just going to pour that into a bowl so that my blender is empty, and a little bit for this delicious mixture. But we got to add a couple things more to the onion carrots. To the veggies, I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of Dijon mustard, a half of a cup of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 roughly chopped garlic. This smells amazing. I'm going to pour in now 2 bottles of Magic Hat almost IPA beer. I'm going to bring this to a boil. That way it burns off all the alcohol. Adding 1/3 of cold water and 4 tablespoons of cornstarch into my very cold blender. Cornstarch will not blend in hot liquid, so it has to be cold. Since I had the blender, starch is all whisked together. If I didn't have a blender, I was doing a different recipe, I could whisk it with a fork, but since the blender was out, that's why I used it. I'm going to stir this until it gets thick, about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to dump in all of the cheese. If this was my 4th bowl, I probably wouldn't admit it to you, but this was supposed to make 12 servings, and I'm barely going to have leftovers. Fall in a bowl. Really smells like Oktoberfest. I highly recommend this recipe.